So my life is quite ordinary. Monday to Friday, I'm at home, go to work, and when I motivate myself, I go out and do some exercise. Saturday and Sunday, yeah, I'm at home too. I try not to spend too much time in front of my laptop. I really will exercise. But I try to see friends, go for coffee, go to the park. But you know this about me, because I've just told you this. But companies can't rely on all users giving them this information. So, let's look at this again. Monday to Friday, I'm typically in South East London, early morning and evening. And then during the day, well, for the last 8 weeks, I've been in central London. And the data collected on my mobile phone and my travel card says this. Saturday and Sunday. Okay, yeah, I'm around South London, but yeah. And as you can see. But hang on a sec, what's happened the following weekend? No, I wasn't scouting out this venue in East London, but maybe I was going for a different coffee shop, to a restaurant, or maybe it's going to be a long-term change. Maybe I'm thinking of moving house. That was my first night there. What I've just told you is a story about my pattern of life. And when I say pattern of life, what I mean is a specific set of behaviours and movements associated with a particular entity, in this case me, over a given period of time. So, hello. I'm Katherine, and for the last 6 to 8 weeks, I've been working with faculty looking at patterns of life in data. So first of all, what is the problem? Questions are as follows. First of all, with data, for a given entity, can a pattern of life be established? And if so, can we then identify when something is going to be an anomaly or it's going to be a permanent change? Why is this important? Good question. So, the real reasons why it's important is what? First of all, quite simply, the ability to identify, predict, and understand patterns of life about the data your business has gives you and that company great potential to create a decision advantage. And there are many examples of this. For example, in the consumer field, location-based advertising can be hugely impactful in targeting your message based on customer physical location. And we have the data to do this. Almost all entities produce data or have data collected about them. And typically that data will be something about the location, something about the space, so the date, the time, and then there'll be some additional contextual specific features. So if we're thinking about customers, maybe the customer age group. How is this done? Now, unfortunately, this project faced a slight challenge. As I'm sure those many in the audience are aware, it's not uncommon in data science for it to become apparent that the data you really need is not going to be available on the time that you really need it. But, on a positive note, the utility of this project is such that the analytical technique being explored is not specific to one set of data. So, instead, I turned my attention to looking at open source automatic identification system, AIS data, which tells you about the location and time of vessels, and in this case, vessels in the Baltic Sea. What we've got on the left-hand side is a plot of transits of ships in the Baltic Sea, and on the right-hand side, we've got a machine learning representation of a model that I developed to show this. And what we can see from this is that it's relatively easy to produce what's called a pattern of life model for these vessels. But as I said earlier, we're also interested in change and patterns. So the real question is, when can we the ideal, the long-term view question is to look for a metric that tells us when something is going to be a change or an anomaly. Obviously, you can know retrospectively. The idea is that you want to predict this. So quite simply, what I've drawn here on the left-hand side is just an illustration of what's changed behaviour. Somebody has some sort of normal pattern, which may be regular, periodic in some way. Then there'll be a period where that changes, and then they'll go to some new normal. The difference then with an anomaly is that they'll have their normal pattern of life, then they'll just be short blip, but then they'll go back to what they were doing before. So, in summary, what I've shown is the patterns of life can be modelled. And I got as far as identifying parts of the data where the model fits badly. And this is indicative that there's going to be some anomaly or some change coming up. But why? There's still work to do in establishing a metric as to whether it's going to be an anomaly, a change in behaviour, and also we need to be sure the model just isn't a poor model. So where next? So, if you think of the bigger picture, there are a tremendous number of examples where prediction of patterns of life will be really, really useful. And I've just listed some of them here. So, I previously mentioned location-specific advertising. There are also weather patterns, disaster response planning. Well, you can see the list for yourself. So, for example, something like location-specific advertising is actually very, very cheap to implement and is highly targeted and is shown to have a huge impact on people's purchasing power. For example, quickly turning an impulse into a sale. So there you go. Thank you.